Music nerd. Hope you're doing well, because today in this video we're talking about another annoying issue in the music industry that will not end, despite the fact that it could so easily be fixed, and it should very much be fixed. Enter in a bassist, producer, composer, songwriter extraordinaire, Mr. Paul Bender of Hiatus Coyote fame, who recently uploaded a video to social media that was brought to my attention, where he's putting out a call for a persistent problem we have been seeing over and over and over in the age of streaming for years now. That's artists seemingly having very little control over what music is uploaded to their profiles on various DSPs. And look, this is happening to some degree on all major music streaming platforms, but for whatever reason, it's most persistently an issue on the one that starts with an S and ends with Spotify. In this video Paul uploaded to Instagram, he talks about a side project he is also in named The Sweet Enoughs. They dropped this Marshmello album back in 2020, and despite having no big recent release plans around the corner, Paul actually found there was some new music uploaded to the Sweet Enoughs music profile on Spotify, but it was, again, not anything that they made, sounded nothing like anything they would make. In fact, what Paul shows in his video clip sounds pretty awful.
I had a listen to it, and oh my fucking god.
Having that sort of thing attributed to your name alone, I'm sure, is insult enough. But what this is actually even worse, because we're talking about a musician's profile on the biggest music streaming platform on the planet essentially being hijacked. Now, if you're new to this problem, or if you just started recently watching this channel, you might react to this story and say, oh, what's the big deal? It's just one guy. Not such a big issue in the grander scheme of things. Did it not get taken care of? Well, yeah, I guess to some degree it did, according to Paul, but it took 6 weeks.
And it eventually came off our profile and just went on to its own profile of the same name. And that took 6 fucking weeks.
And on top of it, this issue is actually nothing new, and it's been happening to artists with a pretty wide range of monthly listeners. And despite widespread reporting on this phenomenon, believe it or not, it seemingly hasn't really gotten any better. And it's crazy just how nonstop of an issue this is, and whether it is distributors or whether it's the music streaming platforms themselves, everybody's just like kind of shrugging their shoulders and passing the buck and acting like they have no responsibility in any of this, or just like not taking part in doing anything to fix the problem, outside of like when a musician or an artist complains enough, having the song removed or changed to a different profile, which is obviously like such a terrible and frankly toxic way to go about solving the problem. If anything, it's just like a band-aid over a giant gaping wound, because this doesn't stop these hackers from doing what they're doing, and I begrudgingly even call them hackers. Going about doing this seems pretty easy.
Here's an explanation about how absurdly easy this is to do from YouTuber Tank the Tech.
In under 10 minutes, I was able to sign up for a distributor service, upload an AI-generated song that one of our Discord members had made, and just pick anybody's profile. And I just chose their profile from a drop-down list. It was that easy. You just have to type in their name, and it came up on the actual portal on the distributor's website. Clicked it, uploaded it, and then just got a message immediately that said, hey.
Bruh, oh God, like, they'll just let other people upload their shit onto your fucking channel. I don't understand that shit. Like, there's no, like, dead ass, bro.
Your song,
they could put out a song and say, because where we distribute it, they ask you, like, what's your channel's whatever the fuck. You see what I'm saying? What's your channel's shit? So somebody else could just put your fucking channel's information in and drop a song on your fucking, on your profile, actually. I don't know if anybody knew that, but that is a very real thing, and it's fucking stupid. All right, hold on. We're about to get back to the video. Let me share this new live. Call them hackers. Oh, that's so funny. I'm streaming on Instagram. I mean, I'm streaming on YouTube while watching YouTube. Share, copy. All right, let's share this bad boy. Hold on, give me 2 seconds, y'all. Let's share this bad boy. Boom. Share this motherfucker on here. And then we back live. I'm telling you. Damn, this is actually a crazy video because this is very common, bro. Let's see. All right.
Is uploaded. It'll be published in the next 5 to 7 days.
Dude, I need like a fucking fork for this.
Incredible.
Doesn't seem like you need to be super tech savvy in order to pull this off. But yes, at one point, it seemed like a lot of these efforts in terms of like hijacking musicians' pages may have been focused on a lot of bigger artists, people uploading random, maybe even AI tracks on relevant pages in order to hopefully like gain some streams through the misconception that, oh, this is like a new song from my favorite artist. Let me go stream it. You go stream it. It's trash, but I'm sure at the end of the day that still like counts as a stream for some of these artists hijacking these pages on these platforms. However, artists of a certain size and visibility and their labels, the representation, their PR, they're not just going to like let something such as that slide. Obviously, they're going to work tirelessly to have that sort of thing taken down. So now it sort of seems like these purveyors of AI slop trying to just like stream troll across music platforms like Spotify, their answer now to making money off of the game that they're playing is to essentially like flood the zone on as many random and smaller pages as possible in hopes that, I don't know, the artist doesn't notice, or maybe they have like less power or sway or influence in the industry to actually have anything done about it. And even if something is done about it, they are smaller artists.
Bro, one of my boys, that nigga go by something kind of common. It ain't even the most common thing ever. When I tell you somebody's been dropping music on that nigga's YouTube for like 3 months and been doing numbers on his shit, I was like, bro, even though it's some bullshit, you might as well try to figure that out because you getting views off of it. So I don't really, outside of the visibility, I don't really understand like what the benefit is, but I guess.
So most likely the music streaming platforms and distributors are going to be slower to change it or fix it. Meanwhile, that's just probably a ton of streams collectively all being brought together on these fake AI tracks. And then on top of that, it was just disheartening to hear that, the change or the fix that Paul was told in this situation was, we're just going to take this song and move it over to another profile that pretty much has the same name.
We got a response from Spotify after some social media posts on Wondercore Island's account.
So instead of just taking the shit off of our pages that somebody's uploading, they're just gonna make a duplicate page of your shit, and now ghost streams are going over there using your likeness and name. Crazy.
And saying they were so sorry that we were distressed, and that perhaps it's a mapping issue that happens when artists have similar names or the same names, not really acknowledging that clearly these are generative AI songs. The songs still exist under new Sweet Enough's profiles. So there's that. We, I guess, need to now send trademark violation notices out to them and work with lawyers and pay lawyers to do that kind of work for us. Meanwhile, on other streaming accounts, the songs are still attached. So now we're going to focus on that.
Like, I'm sorry, what?
Like, bro,
if you're thinking about selling a house anywhere in Atlanta, including the blue areas on this map,
I don't know.
I will buy your house as is, in any condition, even if you're late on mortgage payments or facing foreclosure.
Are you down bad? Let me
I'll
buy
make
your
this
grandmother's
process
fucking
so
crib,
easy for
nigga.
you.
Are
We
you
can
down
close
bad?
in as few as 7 days
buy your trailer
because
park right
there's
now,
no
and then
bank
you'll be
appraisals
homeless.
or
Like,
delays
bro.
because of inspections. Better yet,
Land shark adding.
Why isn't that person getting punished?
His shirt is wild feminine today, but whatever.
Why is that profile and that song not just getting obliterated entirely? Like, the track wasn't just uploaded to your profile accidentally. Like, this was clearly intentional. Like, again, this has been an issue on platforms like Spotify for years now. You can't tell me this is a bug. This is obviously a feature. This is all being done on purpose for a reason. Well, that reason is clearly money, but why aren't the people who are hijacking these profiles being disincentivized from doing it in any way? If anything, it sort of seems like artists are the ones who are disincentivized from actually engaging in the arduous process of keeping their profiles free and clean of any AI music or people hijacking their shit. And it's been happening for so long now, it's just crazy that there's like no major player in the industry that has like the silver bullet solution and answer to this issue. I mean, at one point in his video, Paul does suggest something along the lines of two-factor authentication, which, like, I don't know if that's the ultimate fix for all of this, but it sounds better than what's going on now.
I mean, I can't just go onto Mr. Beast's YouTube page and just upload something as him called Mr. Beast poisons the well of thousands of villages and makes 1 million people blind.
But yes, again, ongoing issue and a sign of so much rot and inequity in the music industry right now, honestly, because if musicians collectively were actually in a position of power to where they could strong arm Spotify or the music distributors into fixing this issue, then they would just do it without being asked, out of fear that musicians would like retaliate in some way. But like the labels and the distros and stream platforms have become such a disgusting syndicate, really the gatekeepers of the digital age, and they know they have musicians by the balls to the point where they can say, fuck you, it doesn't matter if our platform is ineffective and filled with AI crap, it's the only place you can go to upload your shit, and you're going to use it anyway, and we're not going to fix any of these problems, maybe we'll make a few changes if you whine. At the end of the day, more uploads, more traffic, even if it's botted traffic, is revenue in their pocket. But yes, Spotify and the distros continuing to be
all right, I just noticed something weird. This guy says, been going viral on TikTok the last 2 days. Went from 23K to 52K. Now, y'all, I go viral on TikTok pretty often. I have over 1 million likes on TikTok, and I only have like 8,500 followers. So, this guy went from 23K followers to 52,000 followers, but his likes only went from 236,000 to 291,000.
A major disappointment every day. Let me know your thoughts on all of this continued madness in the comments. I'm sure you will.
Y'all ain't slick. Social media strategists can immediately fucking pinpoint that kind of shit. Like, if y'all go buying followers, buy the other shit too, y'all. The fuck? Oh, they got a new episode? Nah. What else we got on here? I tried to start this. This was just full of antics and pander, dude. Look at Charlemagne right now. Look at him. He's like 50. Fucking idiot.
On the morning of...
Do you want to see how much money...
I be seeing this nigga 1 million times a day on YouTube, and I'm not even mad. Whoever is running his marketing team is fucking killing it right now.
You're eligible for. If you were in a car crash within the last 2 years, that was not your fault. You could have money coming. The truth is, insurance companies make the claims process as difficult as possible so you get frustrated and make the first deal they offer.
Like
Many people settle for a $5,000 check when they should have received $30,000 minimum just because they wanted to return to their normal lives as soon as possible. But what if you could get a generous settlement without dealing with insurance at all? In the next 30 seconds, you're going to find out how to get the best representation with no upfront cost, how to get the most money out of insurance companies without dealing with tedious adjusters or going to court. And most importantly, you'll find out how much compensation you're entitled to, even if your accident happened nearly 2 years ago. You could be sitting on a 10K plus gold mine right now without even knowing it.
I'm sorry.
On the morning of February 28th, 1997, a fleet of news helicopters rushed to a bank in an otherwise quiet neighborhood of northern Los Angeles. They pointed their cameras toward the parking lot below, broadcasting live to millions of people.
Unreal. Heavily armed men firing away with no apparent fear or care for human life.
On the ground, a routine bank heist was turning into one of the most violent shootouts in American history. 2 bank robbers were engaged in heavy gunfire against hundreds of LAPD officers. They were outnumbered badly, but they were not outgunned. The bank robbers came armed with multiple fully automatic rifles, thousands of high-caliber rounds, and enough body armor to render the LAPD's weapons virtually useless. That morning, they turned Los Angeles into a war zone, altering the course of American policing forever. Larry Phillips Jr. came from a long line of criminals. His grandfather robbed trains, his father robbed graves, and in the years to come, he would become one of the most infamous bank robbers in American history. But his criminal career didn't start with high-profile heists. In 1984, after dropping out of high school, Larry began training to become a bodybuilder at Gold's Gym in Pasadena. But he quickly realized he didn't have the genetics to compete at the highest level, and began looking for a new path. To look the part of a successful businessman, Larry tried to steal some suits, but he was arrested. Once out of jail, he earned a living as a real estate agent, but he couldn't resist easy money. So occasionally,
hold on, I gotta put the shit in the fucking
genetics to compete at the highest level, and began looking for a new path. To look the part of a successful businessman, Larry tried to steal some suits, but he was arrested.
Eat that up.
Once out of jail, he earned a living as a real estate.
All right. It's probably terrible. All right.
He ran small property scams to defraud his clients. But the real turning point in his criminal career likely happened back at Gold's Gym, where presumably he met his partner in crime. Emil Matasoranu immigrated from Romania to Los Angeles in 1976. Born with a rare heart condition, exercising was practically impossible, and by high school he weighed 350 pounds. The relentless bullying made him bitter, withdrawn, and angry. But in 1989, Emil set out to lose some weight and signed up to Gold's Gym in Pasadena, the same gym where Larry trained. It's unclear if this is really where they first met, but whatever the case, Larry saw something in Emil. For one, they both shared a passion for firearms, and although Larry had more experience in this department, Emil showed a growing interest in crime. Larry was already pulling off small-scale property scams, but now that he was friends with Emil, they began working together on more ambitious projects. And they weren't the only ones. In 1991, there were 9,388 bank robberies across the United States. 1 in every 4 of those, 2,355 to be exact, happened just here in the Los Angeles metro area. The next year, that number rose to 2,641. That's 1 robbery for every 45 minutes that a bank was open.
I am not even.
Now, at the time, bank robberies were unsophisticated, generally not violent, and the perpetrators only profited between $1,500 and $2,000 on average. However, they had become such an epidemic that banks began hiring armed security guards, using exploding die packs and trackers, implementing surveillance, randomized cash delivery schedules, and storing cash in individually locked compartments. At the same time, the government cracked down by raising the minimum sentence for bank robbery to 25 years. And it worked. By 1995, bank robberies in LA had more than halved. But this also had an unintended side effect. It didn't stop the most determined criminals, it just forced them to adapt. With higher stakes and more obstacles, heists became more carefully planned, more ambitious, and much more violent. Criminals began aiming for much bigger scores, and if it meant avoiding 25 years in prison, they were willing to use hostage situations, intimidation tactics, military-grade weapons, and even deadly force. Larry Phillips and Emil Matasareanu were among this new breed of criminals. It's hard to say exactly when they committed their first armed robbery together. Some investigators believe that between 1990 and 1992, they carried out some small-scale heists. Small businesses, convenience stores, even a few cash couriers. Nothing too big, but enough to gain experience. When you're starting a business, it's no different. You need to start somewhere, gain experience, build credibility. That's where Odoo comes.
Here they go with this motherfucking ad. Shut your ass up, bitch. See, I got y'all. Y'all my twin. I got y'all. We not watching that shit.
To get started.
Get it off my
Their first confirmed major robbery came in 1993, when they ambushed an armored car, escaping with tens of thousands of dollars. It was a perfect job, and it showed them that they could pull off something much bigger. But 3 months later, their luck ran out.
I mean, that's crazy. They were pulling up in front of the armored truck, just hopping out. What? Are you fucking kidding me? It's a little insane. That's like asking to get, like, splattered against the wall, dude. Literally.
One day, while driving in a rented car, Larry and Emil...
These graphics are nice as fuck looking. Am I the only one? Like, I really like... Look. I had to download that for me and the boys. We are about to be on that shit. Anybody want to play with this? Download that fucking cop simulator, nigga. That shit, co-op and multiplayer. All right, but anywho, I know y'all are watching these graphics on this, like...
were pulled over for speeding.
Like, is this AI?
It should have been a routine traffic stop, but...
Or did somebody get paid to make this? Is this AI or is this somebody's job? I mean, this looks like a video game rendering, actually.
Emil panicked and told the officer the car belonged to, quote, Dennis's mom.
Oh.
Dennis was Larry's fake name. So of course, when the officer ran the plates, and the records didn't match their story, he arrested them. Inside the car, the officer found 2 rifles, 2 handguns, 3,000 rounds of ammunition, smoke bombs, police scanners, IEDs, 3 fake license plates, and 2 sets of full-body armor. It didn't take a genius to figure out what they were up to. So both Larry and Emil got a short jail.
I mean, these people don't even look like... I've been around a lot of shit in life, and when I hear stories like this and I see their whole face, I just try to picture them with just their eyes showing. These aren't even very, like, scary-looking people. I'm gonna be honest with you. But, I mean, you got that gun in your face, and, you know, everything's scary at that point. But, you feel me? Like, this ain't even y'all real character, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all studying some shit that y'all don't even, I don't know. Maybe they did love that shit, but might have been studying some shit that just was never in the cards for them.
And 2 sets of full-body armor. It didn't take a genius to figure out what they...
Look at these motherfuckers. Are you kidding me? If we covered their fucking face, fuck, I could do that on here, but I don't know. Okay, hold on. Actually, yeah, we can. Okay. All right. So if we take this, hold on, let's bring this followers up here. Okay, so if we take this and put it over his face like this. You laying down? You feel like... If anything, she looks a little more scarier than him with the mask. If I, like, to be honest. Like, dog. Now, twin. He is not scary looking, twin. I for some reason, I can see some sinister shit in her face. Like, covered up. I can, she the type to pull the trigger on your motherfucking ass playing around. All right. Anywho. Let's get back to what we were watching. Oh, no! All right.
This is the game changer that everybody has been asking for.
So basically, this big button right here in the middle is to generate
every time y'all watch me go live. I don't give a fuck.
Figure out what they...
And eventually, I will cave and get YouTube Premium. I mean, I am this close. The only reason I don't is because I don't want to be watching YouTube like my primary source of visual entertainment. And I think that if I bought premium, it would just enable me. Like, I would watch nothing but YouTube. I need to use my other subscriptions. When it's movie time, I need to go to a movie app. I don't need to still be in the YouTube app. But you get what I'm saying.
We're up to. So both Larry and Emil got a short jail sentence for conspiracy to commit robbery.
What?
But more importantly, their gear was confiscated. And now, as convicted felons, they could no longer legally own guns. This would have been the...
They got felonies for conspiracy. What the fuck did they get charged with conspiracy? Oh, well, I guess, I mean, the cops didn't know what the fuck they were doing, didn't know where they had just came from, but knew that they were into some shit. So I guess that is just in general conspiracy. What the fuck?
The end for most criminals.
Umbrella conspiracy, if you will.
But if anything, Larry and Emil's heists just got bigger, more complex, and much more violent. In 1995, they crossed a new line,
what is up with
killing a security guard to rob an armored vehicle.
Who was driving these fucking armored trucks back in the day? Are you kidding me? Like, this is the second story they've told where they robbed them because they blocked off a truck like this. I drive trucks for a living as of right now. You know what I'm saying? For the majority of my bread. Great job, pays well. Let me tell you something. Somebody stop in front of my truck like this, we drive Mack trucks. I am driving clean through your ass, especially with what's in their truck. You have money on your truck. Like, I'm going to run into you and I got some bullshit in the back of this truck. You know what I'm saying? So I don't get why these fucking drivers aren't just ramming them. As many times as they do this, they would eventually fuck up somebody's shoulder or something.
By 1996, they had all but perfected the military-style robbery, robbing 2 Bank of America branches with overwhelming firepower, in and out within minutes, walking away with hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, they were ready for the biggest, but ultimately, most disastrous job of their careers. By 1997, Larry and Emil had nailed down their next target, the Bank of America branch on Laurel Canyon Boulevard, the largest in North Hollywood. The location was perfect. The bank sat right beside a highway, with parking lots on both sides giving them options for a getaway. To the west, there was a busy shopping mall full of civilians, potential human shields which would make police think twice before opening fire. And to the east, there was a quiet residential neighborhood with streets that could serve as escape routes. To prepare, they collected over 3,000 rounds of ammunition and enough weapons to outfit a small army. 3 fully automatic...
They haven't shot a gun once in this entire story. Why the fuck are they buying... I mean, I get they just got all their shit confiscated. But 3,000 bullets? Dude, bullets are expensive. Like, a 20-pack of bullets, back in like 2013, used to be like $20, like $1 a bullet. It's like $35 a box for that same amount of bullets. So, buying 3,000 bullets is fucking crazy.
Norrin code.
Secondly, to never have used this shit yet, never squeezed shit yet, that seems like a crazy investment, but whatever.
Type 56 rifles, Chinese-made AK-47s fitted with 100-round drum magazines. A Bushmaster XM15 dissipator, a smaller variant of the M16, modified for fully automatic fire. And finally, an HK-91 battle rifle, perfect for longer distance combat. Beneath their clothes, they wore Kevlar vests and heavy steel plates on their chest and back. Larry went a step further, wrapping his groin, arms, and legs in makeshift Kevlar padding. By comparison, the average LAPD officer at the time wore this uniform and carried 3 15-round magazines for a Beretta M92 FS, which fires 9mm rounds. This is what they look like compared to an HK-91's bullets. Needless to say, a Beretta wasn't going to do much. But as a last resort, even Larry and Emil brought one. Their plan was simple. Enter the bank, keep the civilians under control, force the teller to open the vault, stuff as much cash as possible into their bags, and walk out before the LAPD could even get there. 8 minutes, in and out. It would go down on a Friday morning, when the bank's vault would be restocked with cash. Larry and Emil expected to walk away with at least $750,000. This wasn't a reckless last-minute job. It was the result of years of careful planning, perfecting every detail, and preparing for every possible scenario. But when the day finally came, nothing went according to plan.
This is always the case with people who are overly confident in some shit they don't really do like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were doing small time robberies and then you go to robbing a fucking institution.
At 9:16 a.m., Larry and Emil stepped out of a white Chevrolet Celebrity in the north parking lot of the Bank of America on Laurel Canyon Boulevard. They had just taken a phenobarbital, a medication typically used to prevent seizures, but they were using it to calm their nerves. They planned this heist in meticulous detail and sewn watch faces into their gear to time it perfectly. If everything went to plan, they'd be in and out in just 8 minutes.
Not gonna go down with that.
However, just as they were reaching the front door, Larry spotted a patrol car driving past Laurel Canyon. He wasn't sure if the officers had seen him, so he continued with their plan. We got a 211 in progress at Bank of America, Laurel Canyon. 2 armed suspects, full tactical gear.
Off rip!
While the LAPD made their way to the scene, Larry grabbed a man using an ATM inside the bank, threw him to the floor, and fired into the ceiling. At the same time, Emil shot the lock off the teller's security door and shoved the assistant manager towards the vault. But that's when he ran into an issue. Instead of a single massive vault, the bank had many individual lockboxes, each needing its own separate key. And to make things worse, the cash delivery they thought was scheduled every Friday morning had been randomized to increase security. This would make the heist slower and much less profitable. 3 minutes in, Larry left Emil in the vault and stepped outside the bank. If those cops had seen him coming in, they could be in trouble. When he looked south, he saw them, waiting in the mall across the street.
Damn!
The LAPD was already on their way.
Nigga.
This was going to get ugly.
Well.
8 minutes in, Emil had managed to stuff his duffel bag with $303,305. And, unknown to him,
I told you from the jump, Shawty was about this shit. Shawty about this shit. Shawty figured out how to get $303,000 out of random fucking lockboxes and figure out the keys? What the fuck? Sounds like a nightmare if we weren't expecting this.
8 minutes in, Emil had managed to stuff his duffel bag with $303,305. And, unknown to him, 3 die packs. On the outside, more than 20 LAPD officers had already taken defensive positions around the bank, covering the entire north and west sides. That's when Larry stepped outside again, raised his AK-47, and opened fire. All of a sudden, a violent gunfight had erupted in the middle of a busy road. The policemen took cover and tried to shoot back.
They finna, I don't know, he do got some heavy shit, but I feel like they finna chop his ass up. What they say, chop his ass up. They finna Swiss cheese this nigga, hold on.
Sometimes they even hit Larry directly, but from over 200 feet away, their 9mm rounds were practically useless against his body armor. Meanwhile, his AK could pierce through cars and even some walls. For 4 straight minutes, Larry stood in the open, spraying hundreds of rounds across Laurel Canyon. Then Emil stepped out to join him. Together, they wounded multiple officers and even some civilians, but eventually, they had to make a run for it. First, Larry made a break to the parking lot while Emil lay down covering fire, and once he found a good position, he did the same. However, moments after Emil stepped outside the bank, the 3 die packs hidden inside his duffel bag exploded, and just as he was nearing the parking lot, an officer managed to graze him with a bullet just above the eye.
Damn.
At this point, 6 news helicopters were hovering above the bank. One of them captured Emil touching his head and leaving a bloody print on the hood of a car. When he told Larry about the die packs, Larry assumed that the money had been stained, and in a snap decision, he left the bag behind. In reality, since the cash was still wrapped in plastic, most of it was fine. But either way, this heist wasn't about money anymore. It was about survival. It is unclear why Larry and Emil did not attempt to drive away at this point. They may have thought their escape routes were blocked, or they may have just chosen to fight until the end. But for the next 20 minutes while Emil recovered from his wound, Larry was in a gunfight against hundreds of LAPD officers, all on his own. During this, he was hit at least 3 more times, including once on the side of his torso, where there was a gap in his body armor. And yet, Larry kept on fighting. He was probably too high on adrenaline and phenobarbital to notice. Eventually, Larry ran out of ammunition for his AK, so he ran to their car, picked up the HK-91, and resumed the shooting. While he was close to Emil, Larry tried to tell him something.
How he all in the trunk? They done hit this nigga 3 times, all kind of shit, on the top of the eye, through the body armor, through a gap in the body armor that wasn't covered. But he could pop the trunk and grab new guns? What the?
Out of ammunition for his AK, so he ran to their car, picked up the HK-91, and resumed the shooting. While he was close to Emil, Larry tried to tell him something, but he was interrupted by a direct shot to his left arm. Frustrated, Larry started firing at a news helicopter, recording him from afar, but thankfully he missed every shot. The injury had left him unable to hold his rifle properly. Now he had to rest it on his forearm, which ruined his aim. The situation was already bad, but to make it worse, their car now had 2 flat tires from all the shooting. Despite this, Emil started driving off slowly, shooting officers through the window while Larry followed him on the ground. While this was happening, Larry's body armor blocked 3 more shots.
I'm not gonna lie to you though, like the way they were moving was very like tactical though, like just the kind of strategies Shorty like implements every time. Like very like militarized.
One bullet did strike the front of his HK-91's magazine well, denting it and jamming it beyond repair. When Larry tried to reload, the magazine was stuck. This was the moment that sealed Larry's fate. Now he had to discard the HK-91 and switch to the 3rd AK-47 he had brought. But because it was illegally modified, this weapon was malfunctioning after every few shots. In order to fix it, Larry had to remove and reinsert the magazine every time. Emil was now desperate to escape. He opened the passenger door for Larry to get inside, but for some reason he refused. Larry slammed the door shut and kept using the car for cover while Emil drove beside him. Eventually, they reached the north parking lot's exit and turned into the residential neighborhood east of the bank. Here, there was an abandoned police cruiser and semi-truck, where Larry took cover.
I made you pancakes.
Make dadding crust easy.
Like, you know, like 9 times out of 10, you're leaving this bitch like dead. Like, ain't no stopping. You know what I'm saying? At that point, we this deep. I gotta let y'all ass have it.
Damn. Drag that in.
Yes.
There's a lot of people.
Emil stayed on the road, driving slowly and expecting Larry to hop into the car soon, but he had moved to the other side of the truck. Neither one of them could see where the other was. When an officer fired at Emil, he sped toward the front of the semi-truck and didn't find Larry. He had returned to the back, expecting Emil to be there still. But no. Some officers were already inside the neighborhood, and Emil had to speed forward in order to avoid them. From now on, Larry and Emil were completely on their own. At this point, Larry was caught between a semi-truck, a tall wooden fence, and 2 groups of police officers, with only a faulty AK-47 and a Beretta M92 FS strapped to his left shoulder. As he kept exchanging fire with police, he was shot twice in the back. 1 bullet struck his body armor, but the second missed the plating and hit his subclavian artery, causing severe bleeding and some serious pain. Because of this, Larry panicked. When his AK-47 jammed again, instead of simply reinserting the magazine, which would have fixed the issue, he repeatedly pulled the charging handle, jamming a bullet inside and making it impossible to fix. Larry realized he was out of options, and he desperately took cover under the semi-truck. But the police officers had a clear line of sight on him, and they forced him out with 2 more shots. Severely injured, losing blood, and likely demoralized, Larry crawled out from under the truck, pulled his Beretta from his shoulder holster, and fired one-handed at police. But the officers returned fire and hit Larry's hand, causing him to drop the gun. It was over. While this was happening, LA's SWAT team arrived on the scene and began commandeering police vehicles to look for Emil. He was deep inside the neighborhood, driving a Chevrolet Celebrity with 2 flat tires and a leaky gas tank. Going back for Larry was simply not an option anymore, but if Emil wanted to escape, he needed a new vehicle. While finding his way through the neighborhood, Emil forced a car to stop in front of him.
Was it not a guy and a girl? He's been saying he for a minute for Emil's part too, and I've been wondering what the fuck that was about.
But the driver, seeing a masked juggernaut emerging from a bullet-ridden car, understandably kept backing up. When Emil pointed his AK at him, he turned around and sped away. Emil stayed on the move, looking for other vehicles. And this time, when he came across a pickup truck, he didn't negotiate. Instead, he fired his AK through their 2 windshields, breaking glass into the driver's face and grazing his head with a bullet. Thankfully, the driver reacted quickly and abandoned the truck in the middle of the road, with the door open. Immediately, Emil parked his Chevy beside it, tossed his remaining gear on the bed, and climbed into the driver's seat. But when he tried to start the car, he couldn't. The driver had taken out the keys from the ignition, so he crouched down and tried to jump-start it. While he was doing this, though, Emil was spotted by a SWAT team, who parked right beside him. Emil jumped out of the truck just in time, seconds before bullets started tearing through the driver's seat. He took cover again behind the Chevy and began spraying the SWAT team with bullets. Whenever they found a moment to fire back, his body armor kept him safe. This went on for the next 2.5 minutes, but eventually Emil ran out of ammunition for his AK-47, so he had to take a few seconds to grab his XM15 dissipator from the back of the pickup truck. This gave the SWAT team a few moments to breathe, and one of the officers noticed a gap between the tires of the 3 vehicles. He had an angle on Emil's legs, and they were unprotected. When Emil started firing again, the officer laid down on the ground and took a precise shot, hitting Emil in the calf. Then he took another one, and another one. Emil had taken multiple direct hits to the legs, but he was still fighting back. In fact, he laid down on the ground himself and started shooting the SWAT team too. But this was his final mistake, because immediately, a bullet struck his arm and he dropped his XM15. Now unarmed, Emil raised his hands and surrendered. Unfortunately, for a few moments, the SWAT officers were behind cover and unaware that Emil had surrendered. So they continued firing, hitting his legs several more times. Eventually, though, they ceased fire and put Emil on his stomach. Concerned that Emil might have a bomb or another weapon, one officer pressed his rifle against the back of Emil's head to prevent him from moving. The front of the barrel was so hot from all the firing that it seared Emil's skin. Larry was dead, and now Emil was finally in handcuffs. But the LAPD had received over 17 calls of different incidents from within the neighborhood. So at this point, they suspected that a third gunman was still at large. Because of this, officers refused to move Emil. And even when a group of medics got to the scene, the officers told them to go away. And so Emil stayed there, in the middle of the road, with barbiturates in his system, thinning his blood. After 56 minutes, he bled out because of the bullet wounds in his legs. The area remained on lockdown until the LAPD concluded that there was never a third gunman. At 11:30 p.m., North Hollywood
They just wanted the niggas to die. A third gunman in my ass. They were like, nah, leave Buddy in the street.
shootout came to an end.
Shit.
That day, over 300 LAPD and SWAT officers responded to the scene. 12 of them, along with 8 civilians, were wounded. At least 11 bullets made contact with Larry's skin, and Emil had 29 bullet wounds in his legs, plus 1 in the forehead, but their armor absorbed countless hits. More than 2,000 bullets were fired in those 44 minutes, making it almost a miracle that there were only 2 casualties, Larry Phillips Jr. and Emil Matasareanu.
That's great.
After the shootout, the LAPD began an investigation into Larry and Emil. They discovered more rifles, ammunition, armor, and even a makeshift bomb-making site. At the time, most officers carried only 9mm pistols, or .38 caliber revolvers, and a shotgun, which were not effective at long range and could not penetrate body armor. Because of this, there was already some debate about whether police forces should be better armed, but few steps have been taken to realize this. Most of the North Hollywood shootout was captured on camera by reporters and news helicopters. When millions of people watched two heavily armed criminals taking on hundreds of LAPD and SWAT officers live on television, it became abundantly clear. American police forces were severely under-equipped, and it was time for change.
Listen to this. Early on in this gunfire, the officers apparently were outgunned, so they resorted to nearby gun stores to go in there and find more powerful weapons.
They actually borrowed weapons from a gun store.
As a result, sweeping reforms regarding equipment and tactics took place in police departments all across the United States. They began issuing AR-15s and other long-range semi-automatic rifles, as well as improved ammunition. In some extreme cases, they even authorized the use of armor-piercing rounds. Officers' body armor was also improved, with some departments adopting metal or ceramic trauma plates, and even ballistic helmets like those used by SWAT teams. Although this incident was not the sole cause of police militarization, it was a major turning point. Today, American police forces are far better prepared for situations like the North Hollywood shootout. Let's hope nothing like it happens ever again. But if it does, they're ready.
That shit was crazy. Alright, I gotta figure out what the fuck we watching next.
Did you know you could be entitled to a 5- or 6-figure payout if you were in a traffic collision within the past 2 years? Yes, even if you weren't the driver. Just click on the link around this video to discover how much you're entitled to.
No! Shut your mouth. Alright, let's see what else we got here. This nigga Gene Deal be talking. I be fucking with what he be talking about.
Gene Deal, happy to have you back on the platform, man.
But everything he said,
man, we've been here, done that. Let's do it again.
Yes, indeed, man. We got a lot to get into, man. It's a lot going on this week. The first week of Diddy trial. I got to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, man. It's a lot of people giving opinions now. At first, everybody was scared to give their opinion, and now they...
When did he drop? 3 minutes ago. Fuck. I feel like a groupie. I can't be the first one to watch that in the first 5 minutes.
This is 22-year-old Joseph O'Connor seeing sunlight for the first time in years, closely followed by his lawyer mother, who was willing to say anything to not see her son be extradited to the US.
He's never been arrested, he's never been in trouble, he has a very serious back injury, and his doctor has said that he shouldn't travel.
See, Joe had a secret he had been keeping from his mom. He had spent years hacking and extorting celebrities, stolen hundreds of thousands in crypto, and made quite the reputation for himself with the internet's biggest streamers, under his handle, Plugwalk Joe. I want to play you a few clips, but they're not going to make a lot of sense just yet.
Pause. Time out. His fucking name was Plugwalk Joe? That's hard as fuck. I mean, can't make this up. That is a fire name for a hacker. And a young one that's of, like, this generation. Plugwalk Joe.
There's a SWAT team at my house right now, bro. I can hear him.
Emergency. Emergency.
Oh, bro. Hey. It's my police. I need you to step up.
So all these popular streamers were getting swatted right around the time that Joe did his perp walk here. And I don't want to conflate that he swatted them. He had done some swatting, but not this swatting. But one of the people that's connected to these incidents ended up getting in a call with Aiden Ross and listened to what he had to say, especially about Joe towards the end.
But bro, why would you swat me because I didn't answer your DM, bro?
No, it's not even just about that. That's funny.
How is that funny though?
You were scared for your life. You thought you were gonna die. That's funny. Wait, Aiden, can you say something for me?
What?
Can you say free Plugwalk Joe?
No. Who the f is that?
Nah, you know who he is. We need to free him. Free Plugwalk.
Wait, I know that. Is that the guy who like sim swap Obama?
He was on SSB World with us.
Yes, I know. Him and Rice were making a server together.
See, this is a different type of hacker culture, if you will, than what I normally cover, and Joe is infamous within these circles. It's not about the money, it's about causing havoc for the attention. So today I want to take you into this world, how Joe went from booting noobs off in Call of Duty, to breaking into the accounts of numerous celebrities where he got up to all sorts of crazy stuff, to finally making one really bad connection within these shady circles that led Uncle Sam directly to his door.
Hey, why you got no box for that? Like you got
Why is Joe front camera?
You just sit down?
Yo, Joe out here with the bust down, bro.
Women's self-defense is a con on the internet, so don't you women be wasting your time thinking you're going to start these new self-defense courses and you're going to knock men out. It's not happening, it's fantasy world, but anyway.
This is Joe's dad. In 1998, shortly after getting
That was so problematic, it's ridiculous.
Out of jail for sending razor blades in the mail, he was being charged
Courses and you're going to knock men out. It's not happening, it's fantasy world, but anyway.
This is Joe's dad. In 1998, shortly after getting out of jail for sending razor blades in the mail, he was being charged with murdering a fellow Liverpool gangster. Except days before the trial was set to begin, the main witness disappeared, and so the charges were dropped. Now, this was all making big news.
Nigga, Joe Daddy, a whole gangster out this motherfucker. What the fuck?
News back then because Mr. Joe was now running for a position on the Liverpool City Council, while at the same
What is this, power? What the fuck is this? All right.
same time working as a bodyguard for the then far-right British National Party leader Nick Griffin. I get the sense that a lot of people didn't like this guy, but it's around this time that he met Joe's mom. She got pregnant with little Joe, and he was pissed. According to the court records, didn't want a kid. I can't get into the specifics here, but by the time he was born in the summer of '99, it got really bad. His mom, shortly after her boss's car was petrol bombed as retaliation for opening a custody battle over little Joe, fled to southern Spain and was able to restart her career as a lawyer. Joe apparently struggled in school here, but by 2000,
they originally lived in
according to the court records, didn't want a kid. I can't get into the specifics here, but by the time he was born in the summer of '99, it got really bad. His mom, shortly after her boss's car was petrol bombed as retaliation for opening a custody battle over little Joe, fled to southern Spain and was able to restart her career as a lawyer. Joe apparently struggled in school here, but by 2007, his one outlet had become video games. The Game Boy got him hooked, and oh boy, by the time he got a computer, it was practically all he was doing. But then the 2008 financial crisis hit. His mom lost her job, and after living off savings for 2 years, she and Joe, now 10, returned to England looking for better prospects. But the school situation only got worse. Bullying dominated Joe's experience, and he was not performing poorly academically. Eventually switched to more or less a homeschool routine, and by 14, according to his mom, was spending 16 to 18 hours a day on his computer. What she didn't know is that Joe had been playing Call of Duty and Counter-Strike, had made quite the reputation for himself. And I want to explore this period of Joe's life because it helps us understand how he made a leap from nerdy recluse into going after the world's most popular celebrities. Okay, so Joe has done an amazing job of clearing his old online profiles off the internet for good reason, but with some creative digging and talking to the folks who knew him back then, I've pieced it all together. Around 2014, Joe got involved in a website called Game Battles. This was MLG's official online competitive gaming platform. Specifically, Joe really liked to play the Call of Duty tournaments on here. Back then, he was going under the handle Complex, or one of these derivatives of it. His Skype specifically was Complex the God, and that has a really important reference, but we'll come back to it shortly. So within the Game Battles community, Joe pretty much immediately develops a reputation as a lag switcher. Check out this video someone posted of him.
Well, I'll go host, and if we leave, I'll just lag switch and say it's my connection fucking up.
If you didn't play Call of Duty back then, basically, if you were the host of the game lobby, you could purposely disrupt your own internet connection, and this would cause everyone else in the lobby to lag. It would give you like an unfair advantage though, because you wouldn't be lagging yourself. And so if he was losing a games battle tournament, he could do this to give himself a bit of an edge.
Whoa, stop lag switching.
Joe was naturally also into DDoSing people. Searching his username online shows that someone uploaded a video teaching others how to change their IP address. But in the description of the video, they have it dedicated to Joe, who, quote, booted me offline for 3 months straight. This stuff was pretty common back then. For a couple of dollars on hacking forums, you could buy access to booters and knock someone's internet offline. And putting Joe's known email into Have I Been Pwned? Yeah, he was on a lot of these forums. And like many other kids on these forums, he was also making a little bit of money. We know he was selling CSGO matchmaking ready accounts. Someone would buy these to smurf or hack on. His mom even knew about this in a letter she wrote. Sadly, the YouTube and streaming accounts referenced here have since been deleted. What she didn't know is that Joe was maybe into some more risky methods. Now, I wasn't able to confirm this because I couldn't find any old posts by him as the website has been down for years, but one of his old friends who I spoke to told me that he was on socialengineer.net, and that does line up with what we know from the Have I Been Pwned search. Now, this is a forum dedicated to social engineering. Typically on these forums, that means finding creative ways to get free things from companies. He told me that Joe was specifically into buying cracked Amazon accounts. Apparently around this time, there was an exploit on myhabit.com. This was a flash sale website owned and operated by Amazon. The bug would let you log into an Amazon account and more importantly, see the order history without actually going through the normal login security checks that existed on Amazon.com, like getting a code to your email or phone. This made it trivial to run credential stuffing attacks, and the goal was to find accounts that had purchased expensive items like PS4s, Xbox Ones, laptops, you name it. You could then use these accounts to request replacements with a little sly bravado in the support chats. But this was the riskiest part of the process, because in most cases you were getting the fraudulent replacements mailed directly to your own house. And so other kids on the forum that would break into these accounts, find lists of them, would then sell them. And apparently Joe was buying these accounts and then using them to actually manipulate their support into sending him these items, or he would like do it for others as a service. I don't get the sense that this was a huge grift, but it does show that he was falling deeper and deeper into these communities, starting to find ways to reward himself for being a part of them, and I think that pushed his descent into his later crimes. The final thing here is that username, Complex the God. Check it out, around this time, Woody's gamertag posted a series of videos about his hacker.
Maybe 2-3 months ago, I made a video called My Hacker's Going to Jail, and it's about Cosmo, otherwise known as Cosmo the God. He took down NASDAQ, CIA.gov, right, which is Americans' like central intelligence agency. He took down UFC.com. He redirected 4chan to point to his own Twitter account. He pioneered social engineering techniques, it's coming out of the article I'm reading, to gain access to user accounts at Amazon, PayPal, and a slew of other companies. That slew of other companies includes Microsoft, because how I learned about Cosmo the first time was he stole my Xbox Live gamer tag. Somehow I got on his radar.
Did you catch that? Cosmo